Today we're going to give this 1966 Mustang convertible a much needed tune-up with some help from Pertronix. Now the owner of the 66 Mustang has just recently installed a set of spark plugs, but the car is still just not running right. It has a lot of misses. It basically is loading up really badly. So we're going to do a full upgrade today using Pertronix parts. We're going to start off with a brand new Pertronix distributor, a new set of spark plug wires, a new coil, and finally finish off the entire installation with our digital HP ignition system. The Pertronix digital HP is a capacitive discharge ignition system, which makes an excellent upgrade for any of your classic Mustangs or even up through the Fox body Mustangs. Again, this will work with most of your factory setups. You'll need a specific coil and a good quality distributor. We'll get to that in a minute. Basically what this is going to do is store energy so there's no dwell time. It's going to make your spark much faster, much more consistent, and provide much better performance. In addition, this box also has rev limiters, burnout rev limiters, and even staging rev limiters, and again we'll explain all that once we get to the installation. This flamethrower distributor will be a direct replacement for the factory distributor on a 66 Mustang. It features the correct steel gear, full billet construction, and a ball bearing and bronze bushing internals to provide much more stability at high RPM and a much more accurate timing curve. And to finish it off, we're using a set of Pertronix wires and a Pertronix Flamethrower 3 coil. The Flamethrower 3 at 0.03T ohms resistance is the perfect choice to work with our distributor and has 45,000 volts of output, which will provide performance as well. Again, these will be direct replacement plug wires. They are custom cut to fit and feature ceramic boots on the header side, again to keep the wires cool and again provide maximum performance. We begin the installation by installing the distributor first. So the first thing we're going to do, since we're messing with the electrical system, disconnect your battery and then remove the air cleaner for more room to work. All right, so the first thing we need to do before we can replace our distributor is make sure it's at top dead center. There's a couple different ways to do that. First thing we're going to try is to actually turn the engine over by hand, use the timing pointer, and see if we can find top dead center on our crank. What we're going to do is use a 15/16 socket, and we're going to turn the engine until you see TDC on your balancer lining up with your timing pointer, and that should get you to top dead center. Okay, so once you find TDC on your balancer and you line up with the timing pointer, you're gonna want to pull your distributor cap and check your rotor. Now the rotor should be facing towards number 1, which is the opposite direction. So in this case, we're 180 degrees out, so we have to continue to turn the motor until we get back to TDC, but our rotor is facing number 1 on the cap, which would be that direction. All right, so we continue to spin the motor again. Now we're back to TDC. Pop the cap off. You can see the rotor is facing back towards number 1. Now we are at true top dead center. All right, so if for some reason you can't read top dead center using your balancer, the other option is to pull the number 1 spark plug and find it manually. There's a couple different ways to do this, but basically what you want to do, put your finger or thumb in the spark plug hole, or you can even use like a straw, just nothing hard. But if you use your thumb, kind of cover the hole up and then again turn the engine, you'll feel the pressure build up on your finger like it's actually trying to force it out of the spark plug hole. That's when you know you're on the right stroke. Now if you want to have a little bit of fun, this is actually a pretty cool tool. It's available online. You can find this all over the place. It's called the whistle stop. What you do is just thread this in, then you actually turn it, and instead of worrying about feeling the compression, it'll actually turn, it'll blow like a whistle. All right, now we're ready to remove our distributor. We'll start by removing the nut here for the vacuum advance. The disconnect over here at the coil. Now we can remove the retaining bolt that holds the distributor. Okay, we'll pop our cap off, put that out of the way for now. and remove the distributor. Sometimes got to give it a little bit of wiggle to disengage the gear. All right, now we're ready to put our new distributor down into place. You want the vacuum advance basically facing forward on these. You have to just shimmy it, and it'll fall down into place. All right, now if it's sitting down into place, we're going to pop the cap off. Now we'll twist it to get it to go down into place. When you have it in place, basically we figure where number one was going to be. And you can see our rotors facing there. Basically, this bolt on the carburetor is a good place to line it up. That way we know we're actually where we need to be in relation to the oil pump gear. If this is over here or over here, then we know we're one tooth off. And again, it's lifted up and keep turning it until you get that alignment correct. Now we're just going to reinstall the retaining bolt. We still have some adjustments to make. We'll put it in place just to hold the distributor down. As you can see, we have this style fitting here for our vacuum advance, which will not work with that. So what we're going to do, though, is simply just cut this hose off and put a rubber hose between the two to connect our vacuum advance. And these cutters can be used for brake lines, vacuum lines, all kinds of stuff. Very, very cheap at your local auto parts store. Also a little piece of vacuum tube. We threw a quick splash of paint on our coil bracket. Now we're going to install a brand new Flamethrower 3 coil. While Brendan's mounting the coil, I'm going to start on the actual ignition itself. Got this nice wiring harness that comes with it. You're not going to use every wire. We're going to figure out what we need. So basically, your black and white stripe, these two thin wires, these are going to go to your coil, so we'll need these. Your red, and thick black are going to be power directed to the battery, so we'll definitely need those. The thin red wire is going to be a switched ignition lead, so we'll definitely have to hook up that. The purple and green, this is going to connect directly to our Pertronix distributor, so we're going to use that. That leaves us a bunch of other wires here. Now these are going to be different uses based on what you're using your application for. So we'll start with the white wire here. The white wire is going to be for like a breaker point or electronic ignition system. Again, because we're using purple and green, we will not be using this wire here. The thin gray is going to be for a tachometer lead if you have one. This car does not have one, so we won't need it, but this would connect to your tachometer. The dark blue wire is for your launch rev limiter control. Now again, we have a C4 with a stock 55-year-old engine. We won't be using this, but if you ground this wire basically on a grounded switch, this will be your launch control, your launch rev limiter. Red with black stripe will be for an internal tach adapter. Again, for our application, we won't need this, but if you're using a tach adapter for whatever reason, this is your connection here. The yellow is going to be for an RPM switch device. This will be grounded when activated. Again, you could use this for two-step, trans brake, anything like that. And finally, your light blue wire is going to be for your burnout rev limiter. So if you have a line lock on the car, this requires 12 volts activation. So you can tie this into your line lock switch, and when you hit the button, not only will it lock your front tires, it'll give you a rev limiter designed specifically for doing a burnout. I'm just going to tie up all the unused wires. We'll put them out of the way for now. You can cut them off. I wouldn't suggest it. You never know down the road which of these connections you might want to use for different applications, so I would keep the wire handy. We're going to mount it right here on our fender apron. All right, the ignition mounted, we're going to plug the wiring harness in, and we'll start connecting all of our wires. Our ignition system is pretty much wired up right now, so what we're going to do next is make our spark plug wires. We just installed our distributor cap, and we're going to cut the wires to fit our 289.
I'm going to show you how to make all the spark plug wires with our coil wire, since it's easy to show you and easy to make right now. First, you cut the insulation off, then bend your electrode. Figure out which terminal you're running. Put the electrode behind the terminal, and then you're going to crimp the terminal. Now that your connection's all crimped on, spray some lube on there and then slide your boot on. So now you can see it's all finished, but this is for a male stud. So click it on. Now I'm gonna make the terminal for the coil, which is a female stud. Take the wire, run it the way you want it, then cut it. Cut the insulation. So this is for a female terminal. As you can see, it's got a longer stem, but we're doing the same process. Bend the electrode over, and then we're gonna crimp it on. Now that you've made that connection, now do the rest on the other cylinders.
So we're gonna go right here for number 1, and then the firing order is gonna be counterclockwise. Now again, it's gonna depend on your engine. In our case, we actually have the original intake manifold. Right here in the back is going to be the firing order for this engine. So again, going counterclockwise, it's going to be 1, 5, 4, 2, 6, 3, 7, 8. So 1, 5, 4, 2, 6, 3, 7, 8. And if you're unfamiliar with the engine itself, 1 through 4 is front to back on the passenger side, 5 through 8, front to back on the driver's side. So we're going to clean up all of our wiring in a minute here. We want to show you where all the connections went. Like I said, our large red and black directly to the battery. The black and white stripe went to the coil. We took the original switched power wire that went to the coil, and we're using that to trigger the ignition. And then the purple and the green, again, go directly to the distributor. Everything's connected. The wires are done. Let's fire it up. So we got the connections right. It actually fired right up, which is nice. What we're gonna do now is adjust the timing. Again, we put the distributor in where it goes. We haven't set the timing. We're gonna do that next. All right, to set timing, we're gonna pull off the vacuum advance, connect your time light to your battery and your number 1. We'll fire it up. There we go. I can sort of see him now. That's TDC. Right there. Factory setting is going to be 6 degrees before top dead center. You can advance that a little bit, basically until it pings. We're going to start it, put it about 8 to 10, and we'll take it for a drive and see how it drives. So once you verify it runs, don't worry if it doesn't run properly, because it probably isn't going to right out of the box, because this ignition system is fully programmable. So once you verify that it runs, you can go into the programming mode. The first thing you want to do, again, they provide detailed instructions, so I won't go over everything here. The most important one is your trigger multi-spark, because that's going to determine how well it runs. So the first thing you want to do, on the side of the ignition, make sure you're at 8 cylinders for the 8-cylinder, because if you have that set wrong, it's not going to run properly. Then you need to go to mode 9. That allows you to set up whatever multi-spark you're running. Once you go to mode 9, again, key on, not running, the light will flash, and the 1000 switch, which is the RPM switch, you'll turn that to whatever ignition you're running. In our case, it's number 5. We turn it to number 5, and the car runs and idles nice and smoothly. The programming we showed you is what you're going to use to get your Mustang running properly, but this Pertronix digital ignition has so many other features on it, it's actually pretty scary. I mean, you can set up your rev limiter for your burnouts, for your launch, for normal rev limiting, hook up your tach, all that stuff is available with Ignition. So again, it's great for a car like this, but it'll also be great for a highly modified car that has a lot more options. But again, the package we have here with the Pertronix Ignition, the Pertronix flamethrower coil, the wires, and the distributor, it's gonna make this Mustang run a lot better. Now, as far as the installation goes, give yourself about 3 hours or so, be back on the road in no time.